Thank you, everybody, for coming to the Aaron Torres Podcast YouTube page. If you could do me a quick favor, see that little subscribe button at the bottom of your screen? Go ahead, click that subscribe button. Really does help our channel grow, our audience grow, and I really do appreciate it more than you know. So click that subscribe button. Appreciate your support. Now, here's the video that you came here for. The other coaching situation at in the state of Kentucky with the Louisville situation and Dusty May. And so the Dusty May story is fascinating. Okay, so I can tell you Dusty May was essentially the biggest domino on the coaching carousel. I'll tell you a funny story. Friday afternoon, I'm driving in to do radio. I call a buddy of mine, a high major assistant coach. His season is done. And, he's kind of trying to figure out, okay, am I going to go back to where I am? Am I looking for something new? Whatever. And he basically said to me, remember, Florida Atlantic Northwestern was the first game on the schedule on Friday afternoon. And he's watching the game. It goes to overtime. I'm on the phone with him. He goes, these MFers got to lose. He's talking about Florida Atlantic. He's like, these MFers got to lose because this coaching carousel has to get going. And what was interesting about Dusty May, the entire cycle was really built around him. Now, I think he's a little bit overrated, which we're going to talk about in a minute. But I am here to tell you, everybody was waiting to see what he did. Louisville, it was clear that when Scott Drew was not interested in that job, he became their number one candidate. Beyond that, I was told, and I've seen Jeff Goodman tweet it out, Borzello tweeted out, I was told Vanderbilt thought they had a legitimate shot with him. Michigan, goes without saying, thought they had a shot. I think there's some weird tie to West Virginia. West Virginia thought they had a shot with him. So everybody was waiting on Dusty May. Our guy Trilly Donovan, I guess in his Discord, puts out that Louisville and Dusty May have agreed to terms. And then a couple hours later, out of nowhere, the Woj Bob. Where did Woj out of left field just shoving all the college basketball insiders out of the way? Saying, basically Woj saying Dusty May has agreed to terms with the University of Michigan. I can tell you, it absolutely stunned the folks at Louisville. But I'm also here to tell you, I don't think it's necessarily the worst thing. So in terms of what happened, this is what I can piece together with Dusty May and Louisville. As I said, with Louisville went hard after Scott Drew. I don't know if Scott Drew ever considered Louisville seriously. But what I can tell you is there's zero doubt in my mind that Louisville, or that Scott Drew in Louisville, I think it was more than a phone call. I don't think it was just, hey, thanks, but no thanks. I think there was probably more there. But Louisville, once Scott Drew said no, it was so obvious that Dusty May was their guy. What I don't think Louisville ever took the time to consider was Louisville Dusty May's top choice? Because Dusty May, listen, I don't know the guy, but I was around him at the Final Four. He's quiet. He's cerebral. And I'll be honest, like when all these jobs opened, one, I heard Ohio State definitely wanted him. But when the Michigan job opened, I said, that's not the worst spot for him. He's quiet. He's not boisterous. And let me say this as far as him not getting the Louisville job. Again, Louisville wanted him. I think that there was probably one or two boosters kind of running their mouths, telling everybody that he was coming. I don't think anybody took the time to consider that maybe Louisville wasn't his top choice. But at the same time, let me say this, Louisville fans. I truly believe in my heart of hearts, this is all going to work out for the best for you. Because at the end of the day, I never loved the fit with Dusty May in Louisville. Louisville, listen, I've spent a lot of time in Louisville, Kentucky, whatever. And I understand it's a state divided, no pun intended, red and blue, okay? But at the same time, Louisville is a great job for the right person. But it is one of those rare jobs. It is a 365-day-a-year job. You don't get to disappear. You don't get to escape. Everything you do is analyzed and overanalyzed, much like Kentucky, much like UConn, much like Arizona. There's only a handful of these jobs in college basketball, but Louisville is one of them. People would see that as a negative, and I actually think Dusty May probably saw that as a negative. In some ways, I think you have to give credit to Dusty May. He knew that he was not built for that fishbowl of Louisville. But guess what? If he knows it, Louisville fans, guess what? It's for the best that he didn't take this job. Let me put it this way. I thought the best way I saw it put
My buddy Nick Coffey hosts radio 3 to 6 Eastern time in Louisville. He tweeted this out, and I thought it perfectly encapsulated the Dusty May situation. He said as follows. He said, if somebody has a Louisville offer and a Vandy offer, and they're actually considering Vandy, then they're just not cut out for the Louisville job. Sorry, end of story. That's just the bottom line. And so I think when I look at the Dusty May situation, that's how I see it as well. He wasn't cut out for it. It wasn't going to work. He's not built for that fishbowl. And so now I think what's interesting is what happens next. As soon as Dusty May turned it down, I'll be honest, I heard the name Shaheen Holloway. I know Jeff Goodman also put it out there after the fact. Shaheen Holloway, of course, is the head coach at Seton Hall right now. People would ask, why would he leave his alma mater? Well, guess what? Seton Hall, among the power conference teams, I can tell you, I think they probably have about the worst NIL setup of pretty much any major power conference team. I mean, probably DePaul was worse this year, whatever. But their NIL is really, really, really bad. I don't think that they think they can compete. I've heard stories about some of their good players potentially entering the portal with eligibility because they just want a payday after this season. And so I think Shaheen Holloway is a legitimate candidate because he doesn't have the resources at his own alma mater to win. Now, the question, if you're Louisville, is he a guy that actually wants your job? Because I think he'd be good. But does he want your job, or is he leveraging you to get more money for his program at the spot that he's at? Is he leveraging you to get more NIL money for Seton Hall? That's the $1 million question, and that's something only Josh Hurd can answer. Pat Kelsey from Charleston also appears to be a candidate. Amir Abdur-Rahim, who of course was at South Florida this year, we advocated for them this year, is a candidate as well. Let me wrap by saying this. Shaheen Holloway, to me, would be a good hire. I was an advocate, as I just said, of Amir Abdur-Rahim, and Pat Kelsey, I think, listen, young, energetic, et cetera, and he's won a lot, won at Charleston, won before that at Winthrop. Let me also say this, though. I am very confused, and again, I saw my buddy Nick Coffey tweet this. Nick was on my radio show, full disclosure, on Saturday, but I have not talked to him otherwise. Nick tweeted this out, and I think he's right on this. One, I never understood why Dusty May was such an obvious, he has to be the guy candidate. Never made sense to me. Didn't get it. Still don't get it to a degree. Beyond that, I don't understand. There appear to be 3 coaches with real power conference experience that are interested in that job. I think at least at some point, Eric Musselman from Arkansas was. You could criticize him, disappointing year this year, whatever. Bottom line is, this guy has gone to 3 straight Sweet 16s before this season, 2 Elite Eights, and he went to 1 at Nevada. Think about all the coaches that can't say that. Bill Self can't say that. Tom Izzo can't say that. John Cal. You get to the tournament and win. That's the end game. It's like the Herm Edwards quote. You play to win the game. Musk gets to the tournament and he wins there. That's all anyone in this sport cares about. And I think he's perfectly built for that city. I don't understand why that call is not being made. Jerome Tang, Kansas State. I don't understand why that call is not being made. By the way, Will Wade, I understand to a degree that one, because I understand that basically, that Josh Hurd, the AD at Louisville, kind of doesn't really want anyone with a ton of baggage. But guess what? It's 2024. It's the NIL era. It's okay to have baggage. As Will Wade said on this show, the bottom line is just get a power conference job, raise NIL money. You can win anywhere. Will Wade won an SEC championship at LSU. You don't think he can win at Louisville? And so I don't understand this rush that we have to hire somebody young and sort of inexperienced when you have 3 coaches out there that I believe are interested in this job, that would take this job, that have proven they can win at the high major level. So that's the latest at Louisville. I don't think it's the worst thing that Dusty May did not take this job. I'll be honest, I don't think it's the worst thing if Shaheen Holloway gets this job. But I don't understand why the call to Jerome Tang isn't being made, why the call to Will Wade at least the conversation is not happening. I don't get it. And obviously, I think Musselman speaks for himself. We'll see what happens. Last time I checked, I think Seton Hall is still in the NIT So that'll be an interesting one to see how long that Louisville will be willing to wait. Let me make sure that that is accurate. Yeah, Seton Hall is in the NIT. They don't play again until Wednesday. So you're talking about potentially, 4 or 5 days to hire a coach. That could be a debacle.